Greetings, this is the Timeshare Traveler, and today is episode 89, Abound HGV Max Club Wyndham Program Comparison. So I call it the top three, the final three, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of industry consolidation, and there's been a lot of that. So I now see those as the three. So there's an overview. I own all three, so I have a perspective across all of them. I'll go through the ongoing costs for studio 1 and 2 bedrooms. I didn't do the 3 bedrooms because they're not at all locations, so it's kind of hard to compare. And then I'm going to go through in alphabetic order, really. Favorite facts about Abound by Marriott. Favorite facts about HGV Max by Hilton, and then my favorite facts about Club Wyndham WorldMark. And then at the end I have a subjective ranking where I use my criteria, and I'll go through all that at the very end. So before I do that, let me tell you a little bit about my channel, then we'll go dive right into the details.
Hi, my name is Cliff, and I'm the Timeshare Traveler. The purpose of this channel is to provide education and knowledge for those interested in timeshares. I've been a timeshare owner for over 15 years. I'm an elite owner with Marriott Vacation Club, Hilton Grand Vacations, and WorldMark by Wyndham. I've also posted over 70 timeshare video reviews of different locations, and I've posted 40 timeshare video tips. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button below, and I can be found at Timeshare Trav on Twitter and Facebook, and my website is www.timesharetraveler.com.
Let's first talk about my perspective, given that I own all three. In Abound, I'm the first level elite, and I consider that a luxury brand. I'm an owner of Marriott and Vistana, and soon to be merged into the Abound. So I have perspective both from the Marriott and from the Vistana perspective. And I've been an owner since 2007 on the Vistana side, Marriott more recently. HGV Max, I'm next to top tier, the Premier Plus. The only thing is the 100,000 point and above club, which is a Centime, it's called. I view it at Hilton as luxury. I get upgraded perks. I'd say 50% of the time I get upgraded to the next level of room. And there's about 150, a little bit more than 150 locations depending on how you count them. And I've been an owner since 2008, mostly because the original purpose was to go to Hawaii. On Wyndham WorldMark, I'm at the top tier on the WorldMark side. And I've done driving vacations. I have high availability. I've gotten in to pretty much all the Club Wyndhams that I've wanted to. I can't say all, but I've been able to use my WorldMark with Club Pass to get into that, and I'll go into details about that a little bit later. But this is a more recent one. I've been an owner since 2017. Okay, now let me talk about what I consider the value. I actually I'm one of those nerds that has a spreadsheet, so I keep track of all the costs. And what you see is I've broken it by Abound, HGV Max, and Club Wyndham. And again, I'm putting them in alphabetical order, Abound and the W, not the club so much, but the Wyndham and WorldMark. That's why so there's no ranking for any reason. Just turns out that they kind of come out where Abound is the most expensive, Hilton is kind of in the middle, and WorldMark is the least expensive. And I base these costs on my maintenance fees. So I calculate what my maintenance fees are for the whole year. I divide it by the number of points I have, and I get a maintenance fee per point. I guess I take the points divided by the fees, and I get a maintenance point per fee. So anyway, roughly for Abound, a studio off-peak is roughly, and this is just based on points that I average across sites, it's about $133 a night, and if it's peak, it's about $194. That compares to Hilton Grand Vacations or HGV Max at around $74 for the off-peak, which I use a lot. Maybe that's why I get more upgrades, because I tend to use off-peak travel, and $114 a night. And again, in Hawaii, if you're $114 a night for a studio when the hotels around you are $300 and some a night, it's still a good deal, even with the Marriott prices. And then Club Wyndham WorldMark, it's about $63 off-peak and $75 a studio at peak. So clearly less expensive with the WorldMark. So I often will use that as well. On the 1 bedrooms, $204 to $255 for Abound, $115 for HGV Max, and 1 bedroom on prime time is $161. So it's about $100 less for Hilton, and I kind of view them as parallel. So I tend to stay where I have more points in Hilton, mostly because of this fact right here that it's a luxury brand, and the prices are less expensive. So that's where I put my money. And then I have quite a bit in WorldMark as well, because that's kind of the, $88 for 1 bedroom off peak, and during peak it's $100. So it's quite a bit less to say at the Wyndham WorldMark. Even a little bit more if you do Club Pass, but in general it's about the same. And then the 2 bedrooms, Abound is at $400 a night, which is quite high, but still cheaper than renting a 2 bedroom online. And Hilton is $168 off peak and $235. Again, that's a great deal. The Club Wyndham is really a good deal. And it's interesting, their point values only typically go up 2,000 points to go from the one studio, go 2,000 points, so their point values go up. And Hilton's, it tends to go up about 50% from the 1 bedroom to the 2 bedroom, which is why you see about a 50% uplift in the price. So it's just the way they do the point systems, the way it works out. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. This is one of the key things I use when I do a comparison, is what's the cost value for that. And now I'll go through my favorite facts about Abound. It's luxury. Every one of the locations is just amazing. And most locations, they have restaurants, pool, bars, spa, everything you could imagine. It's a full service, and that probably is part of why the cost structure is so high. They have a lot of amenities that they're supporting at each one of the locations. The integration with Westin, Sheraton, Marriott, and Ritz-Carlton timeshares, you have them all lumped in together. You have access to them, as well as you have access to the family of hotels, luxury homes, which they just recently added. And I use the credit cards a lot because they give me the benefits that I really enjoy there. And I should mention, the next point is Town Place Suites and Residence Inns have timeshare-like features. So they have kitchens in many of them. And so sometimes I'll use my points that I get from using my Bonvoy card to pay my timeshare maintenance to end up staying for free at a Residence Inn or at a Town Place Suites. And I get a full kitchen, and it gives me the same features. To me, the most important features of the timeshare are the ability to cook, keep costs low, and the swimming pools aren't as nice as you get at the timeshares, but otherwise, I call it timeshare light. Again, paying fees with credit cards is a good way to rack up. They give you the benefit. I think it's 6 points, 6 points per dollar. So that adds up. When you're paying your maintenance fees, you can fairly quickly get 1 free night at one of the timeshare light hotels, in my opinion. And another thing is interesting. They've Marriott, a lot of their timeshares, and I should say at least in Phoenix, they're right next to the hotels, and you get access to the hotels. So if you stay in the timeshare, you actually get to use both the pools, the timeshare, and the pools, the hotels, and both of them are typically on the luxury side, where the locations do match up. And again, I've actually done this. The last point is I've used Bonvoy points to stay in a timeshare. So I used it typically is only on off peak. It's not during like Christmas or anything like that, but it's I've used that. So it's kind of nice to be able to then earn the points, and it's kind of like a bonus timeshare stay. So those are my fun facts, favorite facts about Abound. Well, now my favorite facts about HGV Max. First is the most important one for me now is that they've grown. They've just been great. They've grown. Now they have roughly 150 locations, and that fundamentally changed that I can actually do driving trips across the U.S. And actually stay pretty much, not pretty much, in timeshares the whole way. So you can drive from California across the U.S. and so that changes the whole way. It's almost like I've got an RV, but I have a high mileage RV because I'm just driving a car, and then I'm limited in the places I stay, unlike with an RV, but it has the same feel of that. The integration, again, similar to Marriott Abound, the integration to their hotels with their timeshares. They have RCI, which is an exchange group, and they have their credit cards. And I use a credit card extensively. In fact, one of the credit cards gets me diamond status. The other thing with HGV Max, there's no booking fees. And you can buy one-use club points. So if you don't quite have enough this year and you want to take an extra vacation, or you want to get a larger unit because you have your parents or whatever, your cousins or whatever are going to stay, you can buy one-use points, which I think is a really nice deal, sort of like not having to do that every year. The new feature they're adding with HGV Max, it's not yet rolled out, it'll roll out in a few months, but is the loyalty search request. So you can set up a search to continually search for what you want, and hopefully that will automatically book, but we'll see what that is once it comes live. I also find that Hilton is comparable to Abound. They may not have all the full service features sometimes that some of the Marriotts do, but most of the full service features, like the restaurants, I tend to cook in my units, so the restaurant actually is not that important to me, but that's just me. And that might be completely different for you, so you might have a different ranking, and you'll see that in my subjective ranking, because that plays a part. Again, it's similar to Abound. There are several. Homewood Suites is the one I've used, stayed in. It's got a full kitchen. Even they have one-bedroom units as well. And I've used my Hilton Honors points, which I get from paying my maintenance fees, to stay in what I call timeshare lights. And last in alphabetical order is Club Wyndham WorldMark. This has got I love this. It's got the most locations, so over 200. I actually have driven from California to Indiana and stayed exclusively in either Club Wyndham or WorldMark, so there's no issue using Club Pass to get access to either of those. I've done it, and I didn't stay in any one location twice, which was kind of cool. You can connect to RCI and Interval International. They do still support Interval International, and I do that because I sometimes use my WorldMark points to stay at a Marriott property. So you can use Interval International to get some of the sort of off-peak periods. Club Pass lets you stay in Club Wyndham, and I've done that exclusively. I've spent a week in Nashville. I've stayed literally in every one of the Club Wyndhams in the Big Island of Hawaii, which is pretty amazing. So if you own WorldMark, you can do that, and vice versa. If you own Club Wyndham, you can use Club Pass to get into WorldMark. I don't have the experience with that because I'm on the WorldMark side, but I know it's possible. The next point, and this may be my favorite part of WorldMark, is they have a system called Vacasa, and they also have Wyndham Rewards. And I always take the points whenever I have a owner update, and that's because you typically get 30,000 points for an owner update, and that's 2 nights in a one-bedroom timeshare. I have used Vacasa to book a timeshare for a week in the island of Kauai. I have a separate video on that, and you can look that up. I've also used the Wyndham Rewards normal program to book Club Wyndham resorts on the island of Hawaii. So I've done that several times, I think 4 or 5 times. So just keeping your points from your owner updates, I end up staying for a week in Hawaii using Wyndham Rewards. So it's an amazing feature for me. All my maintenance fees that go toward that. So I don't use it to stay in the hotels. There's hundreds of hotels. It's probably the most hotels around, but I typically use them to stay in the timeshares. Again, I reiterate, always do the owner update, always take the points. Your maintenance fees, get one of their credit cards, because it really adds up, and you can get an extra week of vacation a year if you really work at it. Again, I know I mentioned from the pricing, the lowest cost resorts, and Wyndham hotels are everywhere. They have lots of brands, and their totally available. So whenever I'm on a driving and I'm not going near a timeshare, I am just sort of stopping on a drive to somewhere, I can always find a Wyndham hotel. Okay, and here's the hard one, because everybody has a different view of a subjective ranking, and I just wanted to do it. Sort of did the lowest of the three gets a 1 and the highest gets a 3. I rank my categories for luxury, cost, credit card, hotel program, because again I use that credit card program to get myself free stays. So to me it's a way of completely reducing your cost and improving the vacation experience. Locations really means number of locations. Elite benefits, and that's probably the most subjective, because that's where the benefits matter. The ones that matter to me most are what caused me to rank that. I also put in here driving vacation, because you don't always want to, the cost, if you have a family of 4 and you can do a driving vacation, that's significantly less than having to buy 4 airfares. So I put that as a criteria because I thought that was done, and then I added them all up, and then you kind of get my ranking of what I consider the best. And again, it's all subjective. So Marriott Abound, I guess I'll go in ranked order. Hilton Grand Vacations is to me my favorite. It's kind of got the best of both. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's got luxury similar to Abound, and it's got the driving vacation, not as good as WorldMark, but it's quite good. And the elite benefits of getting upgrades to the upper level rooms, and that often means getting an oceanfront room. And again, I travel off peak, so maybe that's why it happened more often. And my second choice is WorldMark, and I think that's fundamentally driven by cost, locations, and driving. Those 3 things, and if those criteria don't matter to you, you might come up with a different ranking. And again, my ranking is my ranking, and I'm trying to do the best I can to be subjective, but also relatively different. If you can adjust, you can create the same spreadsheet and adjust the numbers for yourself based on if you have a slightly different view of that. And I highly recommend you do that. And again, Marriott Abound comes in just slightly below WorldMark. And really, I look at this is my luxury stays, and the credit card program is not quite as good as Hilton's in my opinion, but it's pretty good. And then the cost and the elite benefits, my first level tier has really got, the other ones just are not as important to me. I'm not saying, I have friends who have a high ranking Marriott Abound and they really like the benefits, so they're just not the ones for me. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please love it if you would subscribe.